SPI, Serial Peripheral Interface, is a synchronous serial communication protocol used to transfer data between a master, usually an MCU, and one or more slave devices. It works using a clock signal generated by the master, which makes SPI very fast and predictable compared to asynchronous protocols. SPI uses separate lines for data transmit and receive, so data can flow in both directions at the same time, full duplex. It is commonly used when high-speed data transfer is required, simple hardware design is preferred, communication is short distance, typically on the same PCB. Typical devices using SPI: flash memory, sensors, displays, ADCs and DACs, wireless modules. Why SPI is popular? Faster than I2C. Simple protocol, no addressing overhead. Flexible data size and timing. Limitation to remember: more pins required compared to I2C. No built-in acknowledgement mechanism. SPI, I2C, and UART are the most common communication protocols in embedded systems, but each is designed for a different purpose. SPI is the fastest among the three. It uses a clock from the master and separate lines for transmit and receive, allowing full duplex communication. It's ideal for high-speed devices like displays, flash memory, and sensors on the same PCB. The trade-off is more wires and no built-in acknowledgement. I2C uses only 2 wires and supports multiple devices using addresses. It's slower than SPI, but excellent for sensor networks and configuration devices where pin count matters more than speed. It includes acknowledgement, making it more reliable for control data. UART is a point-to-point protocol with no clock line. It's simple and commonly used for debug logs, GPS modules, and modems, but it's slower and not suitable for multi-device buses without extra hardware. Quick rule to remember: need speed, SPI, and need fewer pins and many devices, I2C. Need simple serial communication, UART. One unique feature of SPI is that it supports full duplex communication, meaning data can be sent and received at the same time. SPI achieves this using 2 separate data lines. MOSI, master out slave in, data from master to slave. MISO, master and slave out, data from slave to master. On every clock pulse, the master shifts out 1 bit on MOSI, the slave shifts out 1 bit on MISO. Both sides receive data simultaneously. This means there is no separate read or write phase. Even when the master wants to read, it must send dummy data. Even when writing, the master still receives data, often ignored. Why full duplex matters: higher data throughput, efficient use of clock cycles, and ideal for fast peripherals like displays, ADCs, and flash memory. Important limitation: many real devices behave as half duplex by design. The protocol supports full duplex, but devices may not use it fully. In SPI communication, devices are organized in a master-slave architecture. The master controls the entire communication. It generates the clock, SCLK, selects the slave using chip select, CS, and decides when data transfer starts and stops. The slave is completely passive. It cannot start communication on its own. It only responds when its CS line is activated by the master and data is clocked. Key points to understand: only one master actively controls the SPI bus. There can be multiple slaves, each with a separate CS line. All slaves share MOSI, MISO, and SCLK. Only the selected slave drives the MISO line. Data flow: master sends data on MOSI, slave sends data on MISO. Both happen simultaneously, full duplex. Why this architecture is fast, and no addressing phase like I2C. No arbitration or collision handling. Simple deterministic timing. Limitation: more slaves is more CS pins required. Slaves cannot initiate communication. SPI communication is built using 4 basic signal lines, each with a clear and fixed role. MOSI, master out slave in. This line carries data from the master to the slave. Whatever the master wants to send, commands, addresses, or data, goes through MOSI. MISO, master and slave out. This line carries data from the slave back to the master. Only the selected slave is allowed to drive this line. All other slaves must keep it in high impedance state. SCLK, serial clock. The clock is always generated by the master. Every clock pulse synchronizes data shifting and sampling on MOSI and MISO. Without SCLK, no SPI communication happens. CS, SS, chip select, slave select. This line enables a specific slave, usually active low. When CS is low, slave is active. When CS is high, slave ignores the bus. Why CS is critical: prevents bus conflicts on MISO, defines start and end of a transaction, allows multiple slaves on the same SPI bus. Important note, data is valid only when CS is active and clock is running. Chip select, CS, also called slave select, SS, is the most critical control signal in SPI. CS tells a slave when it should listen and respond on the SPI bus. How CS works. CS low, slave is active and participates in communication. CS high, slave is inactive and ignores the bus. Why CS is essential. Ensures only one slave responds at a time. Prevents MISO bus contention. Marks the start and end of a transaction. Important behaviors. Some devices require CS to stay low for the entire frame. Some reset their internal state when CS goes high. Toggling CS incorrectly can corrupt data. Multiple slaves. Each slave gets a separate CS line. MOSI, MISO, and SCLK are shared. Common mistakes. Floating CS line. Wrong active level. Active high versus active low. The changing CS in the middle of a transfer. In SPI, chip select, CS, can be either active low or active high, depending on the device design. Active low CS most common. CS elbow, slave is active. CS L1, slave is inactive. This is widely used because it's noise tolerant and works well with pull-up resistors. Most SPI peripherals expect CS to idle high. Active high CS, less common. CS L1, slave is active. CS L0, slave is inactive. Used in some custom designs or specific devices. Requires careful configuration to avoid accidental activation during reset. Why this matters? If the polarity is wrong, the slave will never respond. Or worse, respond at the wrong time.
MCU SPI controllers usually let you configure CS polarity.
External GPIO-based CS must match the device's required polarity. Best practices. Always check the device datasheet for CS polarity. Use a pull-up, active low, or pull-down, active high, to define a safe idle state. Keep CS stable before and after clocking data. Clock polarity, CPOL, defines the idle state of the SPI clock, SCLK, when no data transfer is happening. There are two CPOL options. CPOL is low, clock idles low. SCLK stays at 0 when the bus is idle. Clock pulses go low, high, low. CPOL L1, clock idles high. SCLK stays at 1 when the bus is idle. The clock pulses go high, low, high. Why CPOL matters. The slave expects data relative to a specific clock idle level. If CPOL is wrong, the slave samples data at the wrong time. Communication may appear dead or produce garbage data. Important notes. CPOL affects only the idle state. Actual data sampling depends on CPHA, clock phase. CPOL plus CPHA together define the SPI mode. Common mistake. Matching SPI mode number without understanding CPOL. Clock phase, CPHA, defines when data is sampled and when it is shifted relative to the clock edge. There are two CPHA options. CPHA 0, data is sampled on the first clock edge. Data is changed on the second clock edge. Requires data to be valid before the first edge. CPHA L1, data is sampled on the second clock edge. Data is changed on the first clock edge. Gives more setup time before sampling. Why CPHA matters. If CPHA is wrong, bits shift by one position. Data looks random even though signals toggle correctly. One of the most common SPI bring-up issues. Important notes. CPHA works together with CPOL. Changing CPHA without CPOL understanding causes confusion, and devices clearly specify CPHA in the datasheet. Quick tip. If SPI clock looks correct but data is wrong, check CPHA. SPI modes define how clock polarity, CPOL, and clock phase, CPHA, are combined. Every SPI device operates in one fixed mode, and the master must match it exactly. There are 4 SPI modes. Mode 0, CPOL is 0, CPHA is 0, clock idles low. Data is sampled on the rising edge. Most commonly used mode. Mode 1, CPOL E0, CPHA L1. A data is sampled on the falling edge. Mode 2, CPOL L1, CPHA E0, clock idles high. Mode 3, CPOL L1, CPHA L1. Why SPI modes matter. Master and slave must use the same mode. Wrong mode. Clock toggles correctly but data is invalid. One of the most common SPI configuration mistakes. Practical tip. Don't guess the mode. Always check the slave datasheet. Configure SPI using mode number, not CPOL, CPHA separately, to avoid errors. In SPI, data is shifted and sampled on different clock edges. Getting this wrong causes bit shifts, corrupted bytes, or no data at all. 2 actions happen on every clock cycle. Shifting means the transmitter changes the data bit, while sampling indicates the receiver reads the data bit. The rule states that data must be stable before it is sampled, and that data is always shifted on one edge and sampled on the opposite edge. Here's how it works. With CPHA equals 0, data is sampled on the first clock edge and shifted on the second edge. Conversely, with CPHA equal 1, data is shifted on the first clock edge and sampled on the second edge. Why this matters? If sampling happens while data is changing, it leads to invalid bits. A logic analyzer may show clock and data toggling, but the values can be wrong, making this the most common SPI data corruption issue. Here's a practical tip. If you see data shifted left or right by 1 bit, this indicates a CPHA mismatch. Always ensure to match the sampling edge between master and slave. SPI allows data to be transmitted either MSB first or LSB first, depending on the configuration and the slave device. MSB first, most common. The most significant bit is sent first. Bit order goes from bit 7, bit 0 for 8-bit data. Used by almost all SPI peripherals. Easier to debug and human-readable in logic analyzers. LSB first. The least significant bit is sent first. Bit order goes from bit 0, bit 7. Used in some legacy or specialized devices. Requires explicit MCU configuration. Why bit order matters. If master and slave bit order don't match, data looks bit reversed. Communication still happens, but values are incorrect. Often confused with CPHA or Indian issues. Important notes. Bit order is independent of SPI mode. Some MCUs support only MSB first. Always verify bit order in the slave datasheet. Quick debug tip. If 0xA5 becomes 0xA5 mirrored, check LSB MSB setting. SPI speed is controlled entirely by the master's clock, SCLK. Choosing the wrong frequency is a common cause of unstable or failed communication. Key points to understand. Every SPI slave has a maximum supported clock frequency. The master must not exceed the slowest slave's limit. Faster is not always better. What limits SPI speed? Slave device timing constraints. PCB trace length and routing. Signal rise, fall time. MCU clock source and divider accuracy. Practical guidelines. Start with a low clock speed during bring-up. Increase speed gradually once communication is stable. Use short traces for high-speed SPI, and different slaves may require different SPI speeds. Multiple slaves case. Configure SPI clock before asserting CS. One slave may work at 1 MHz, another at 10 MHz. Clock change is a master-side configuration, not automatic. Common mistakes. Assuming all slaves support the same speed. Ignoring datasheet maximum SPI clock specs. Running fast SPI over long wires or cables. An SPI timing diagram shows how data, clock, and chip select interact over time. Reading it correctly is essential for debugging SPI issues. Key signals in the diagram. CS, chip select, defines when communication is active. SCLK, clock, controls timing of data transfer. MOSI, MISO, carry data bits. How to read the diagram. 1. CS goes active, communication starts. 2. Clock begins toggling. Data transfer happens only while clock is running. 3. Data changes on one clock edge. 4. Data is sampled on the opposite clock edge. 5. CS goes inactive, communication ends. Important things to verify. Clock idle level matches CPO. Sampling edge matches CPHA. Data is stable before sampling. CS stays active for the entire frame. Correct number of clock pulses per frame, 8, 16, etc. Common debugging clues. Data shifted by 1 bit, CPHA issue. Random data, wrong sampling edge or speed too high. No response, CS timing or polarity issue. Practical tip. Always compare the datasheet timing diagram with your logic analyzer capture. If they don't visually match, SPI will not work. SPI does not fix the data size. The frame size is defined by the MCU SPI controller and the slave device. Common frame sizes. 8-bit, most widely used byte-oriented devices. 16-bit, ADCs, DACs, motor control, some sensors. Variable length, command plus address plus database devices. How frame size works. 1 frame will number of clock pulses. 8-bit frame, 8 clock cycles. 16-bit frame, 16 clock cycles. CS usually stays active for the entire frame. Why frame size matters. Slave interprets data based on expected frame length. Wrong frame size, data misalignment. Some slaves reset their internal state if CS toggles early. Important points. Frame size is independent of SPI mode. Some MCUs support only fixed sizes. Software-controlled CS allows flexible framing. Common mistake. Sending 8-bit frames to a slave expecting 16-bit frames. Quick tip. Always check datasheet examples, not just electrical specs. SPI data can be sent either as continuous transfers or frame transfers, and the choice depends on how the slave device interprets CS. Framed SPI transfer. CS goes low, frame starts. Fixed number of bits, 8, 16, etc. are transferred. CS goes high, frame ends. Very common in register-based devices.
Many slaves reset their internal state when CS goes high.
Used when each transaction is independent. Device expects command, data end. Continuous SPI transfer. CS stays low across multiple bytes or words. Data flows continuously without breaking the transaction. Slave treats data as one long stream. Common in flash memory, displays, audio codecs. Reading, writing large blocks. Streaming data. Address auto increment is required. Why this matters. Toggling CS at the wrong time can abort a transfer. Some devices fail silently if CS timing is wrong. MCU drivers may default to per byte CS toggling. Dangerous. Practical tip. Always check whether the slave expects CS per byte or per transaction.